Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So we're going to have a look at where next week, 10 days, for today's second video, and we'll also have a look at Beijing Climate Center for the next 40 days, and that takes us more or less to the end of June. We just released a 5-day forecast, just so you can find that video here on the homepage. Just scroll over the page a little bit, and it's worth bolling out. There's also the written version. Gets out from buttons at the top of the page. Going to be a very warm 5 days coming up. Back turning quite hot over the bank holiday weekend, but there could be some thunder in places as well. Let's have a look at that and to see what you think. We're going to start off by having a look at the central England temperature. Nearly, of course, into the final week of the month, not quite, but nearly. CET currently stands provisionally up to the 22nd of May, up to yesterday, at 12.4, an anomaly of over 1.5 degrees above average. Is going to move up even more, so it looks like it's going to be an appreciably warmer than average month, to say the least. May well come in over 2 degrees above average, I think, when we get to the end of the month. Hardly surprising, because it has been obviously a really warm May. Lots of southerly, easterly, southeasterly winds, and continuous high pressure sitting to our northeast, really dragging up the air from southern parts of Europe. So these warm temperatures are set to continue. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. Red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Starting off warm at the moment. It's already warm. It's going to get even warmer by the time we get through to the weekend. We're seeing the temperatures getting quite close to 15 Celsius at 850 HPA in the upper atmosphere. And down on the surface, that could well mean get the temperatures into the at least the mid to upper 20s Celsius, possibly getting quite close to 30 degrees at some point over the bank holiday weekend. That's the 1st of June just there. So this is like the first week of June, when we do see signs of the temperature easing down a little bit, but it's a very long way off, and it's not really a convincing drop in temperature that we're seeing there at this stage. So possibly turning a little bit cooler into the first week of June, but essentially still overall the ensemble even then is above average. So I think we can say at least to the early part of June, it looks like we're going to keep it really quite warm, but also fairly unsettled as well. And we have got fairly regular precipitation spikes appearing now on this ensemble chart for London. So a lot of that is showers, a lot of it could be thunderstorms. I don't think it's Atlantic rain, it's not bands of rain coming in off the Atlantic. I think a lot of these precipitation spikes that we see here are showers, thundery downpours, possibly longer spells of thundery rain pushing up from France, and even thunderstorms as well. So although it's going to be a very warm period coming up, it's not going to be settled, and there will be showers or longer spells of rain or even thunderstorms accompanying this warmth. Surface temperature ensembles for London looking like that. So this is 20 degrees just here. This is 10 degrees just here. That's 30 degrees up there. We're starting off at this sort of level in the low 20 Celsius over the bank holiday weekend, and into next week we see the temperature lifting up more and more. So by around the end of the month, we are getting close to 30 degrees at 800 on the surface temperature of 30 degrees, which is around 86 Fahrenheit. You can normally add a few degrees onto these as well, so I think we probably will get to 30 degrees at some point before the end of the month in the southeast. And then as we go into the first week of June, does look like we get a bit of a drop in the temperature taking place. Nothing overly dramatic, still hovering close to 20 degrees even then, but some cooler nights appearing through this first week of June as well. So temperature perhaps eases back a bit through the first week of June after being very warm or hot as we get through to the end of May. So this is how the GFS is looking for Saturday, with low pressure to the south over the Bay of Biscay, high pressure to the north of Scotland, bringing those easterly winds. This is the situation through the bank holiday weekend. It's all covered in the 5-day forecast. We'll have another bank holiday update coming up tonight, by the way. This is bank holiday Monday, so high pressure is still blocking things out up over Scandinavia, with low pressure down to the south. This low pressure is trying to push northwards and bring a breakdown, but essentially it's a high pressure over Scandinavia that remains in control, continues to feed in those very warm, if not hot, east to south easterly winds. By the time we go through to the middle part of next week, so high pressure is still in control of weather, but its position is changing a little bit. So we've got one area of high pressure over Scandinavia. We've got another area of high pressure to the northwest of Scotland. That's going to try and bring some cooler air down from the north. So we go through to the end of next week. And we've got high pressure repositioned to kind of like Iceland, that sort of area. By the way, if this was winter, this will be a very, very prolonged spell of cold weather. Got low pressure out in the Atlantic. That's trying to head in from the west and bring us our rain-bearing systems, but essentially it's still that high pressure dominated, although its position is around Iceland, which would normally be a fairly coolish direction. The way this all lining up, it's still bringing up quite warm, even hot air potentially from southern parts of Europe. We get to day 10, that's how we look. Saturday the 2nd of June still has lots of high pressure, this time to the north and ridging through the UK as well. In the more extended range, it looks like we begin to try and bring the Atlantic back in. So this is going deeper into the first week of June. We go to the 6th, and then on, as far as we can go, is the 8th of June. So broadly, we still have this high pressure dominating close to Scandinavia, but we have got this low pressure to west of Ireland that's trying to bring in cooler air and also weather fronts and bands of rain from off the Atlantic. How successful that would be, I'm not sure. This is a very strong ridge that we have here. It's a stable ridge that we have here over Scandinavia. So it would take some breaking down, to say the least. But that's where the GFS is trying to get to right at the very end of its run. For the foreseeable future, though, high pressure remains in control. This is the ECMWF with high pressure to the north of Scotland, bringing in this very warm easterly wind over the bank holiday weekend. Always thundery showers threatening the south with these shallow little troughs and areas of low pressure to our south, but essentially it's still this ridge over Scandinavia that's keeping most parts of the country very warm and dry. Through to the early part of next week, this looks a little bit more unsettled than what the GFS is showing for the middle part of next week. So just very shallow low pressure taking over across the country. I should probably say lower pressures. It's not particularly low pressure, but just shallow lower pressure taking over across the country through the middle part of next week. That all looks rather thundery, I have to say. And then as we go through into the extended range, so going towards day 10, we get this high pressure setting up again very close to Iceland. Would normally be quite a cool place to have high pressure, actually. It's normally bringing the air down from quite a long way north, but the way it's all lined up, again, we've got the high pressure around Iceland, we've got these shallow lows around here, and they're bringing up warmth from southern Europe. So that's probably quite showery, potentially quite thundery, but still fairly warm and humid. Actually, to pull down cooler air, you would need to push those troughs through that way, and then this ridge around Iceland would start to pull the air down from the north. But at this point, getting up towards day 10, not particularly cooler. And that's how we look at day 10 with this morning's ECMWF. Very complicated looking weather pattern. These are complicated charts, but this is how things are looking for Saturday, 2nd of June, day 10. And the high pressure is still there. It's going nowhere fast. It's still blocking things out to the north and northeast of the country. Got low pressure around here, and essentially we're still bringing up that air from southern parts of Europe as well. So into early June, it looks like we're remaining warm, maybe even very warm or hot at times. There could be some thunder continuing to threaten. Let's just have a look at the Beijing Climate Center. These are the 500 millibar heights broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period will take us from the 21st of May through to the 30th. So it's a 10 days that we are currently in. If you like, we have above average heights over the UK and going out into the Atlantic, and also over here extending into Scandinavia. So loads of high pressure, but jet stream is up there somewhere, and so a lot of dry, a lot of warm weather, albeit not continuously dry. There will be the threat of thundery showers and thunderstorms at times, but as the anomaly over 10 days, lots of anticyclonic weather coming through. And then this continues into the next 10-day period. This is the 31st of March to the 9th of June. with above average heights again centred over the top of the country. Below average heights are up to the northwest. The jet stream is going up there, so this continues to bring a lot of warm and fairly dry weather through to the early part of June. This is the next 10-day period. This is going from the 10th through to the 19th of June. Looks like the above average heights are beginning to pull out more towards our west at that point, where we do still have a ridge over Scandinavia. We've got low pressure to our south across southern Europe, and low pressure probably deepening a little bit around Greenland and Iceland. So it looks like the ridge is being put under pressure there. We've got low pressure to the north, trying to bring the jet stream down across the country. We've got low pressure to our south, probably trying to bring up a thundery breakdown. And so essentially a pincer movement is going on against the ridge and starting to put it under a lot of pressure, and so that eventually leads us to this, which is the chart for the 20th through to the 29th of June, days 31 to 40, so it's a really long way off, but this does look a lot more unsettled by then, with below average heights over and to the south of the country and up to the north as well. The ridge is being kind of squeezed out into the middle part of the Atlantic, and it's also being weakened over Scandinavia as well. So as you get further into June, into the second half of June, the signals are that we begin to break down this ridge and turn things more unsettled. But of course, that's a very, very long way off. So in the more immediate time frame, which is kind of like the next 10, maybe 14 or 15 days, next couple of weeks, let's say, it does look as though high pressure is going to remain quite dominant. We expect a lot more dry and warm weather to come, albeit with the risk of thunder at times. And then maybe as we get later into June, further into the summer, if you like, we might start to see a breakdown. But it's all a long way off. It certainly isn't worth being concerned with that at the moment. So it continues the idea into the early part of June. We still see signs of a lot more warm and pretty dry weather to come. Right, we'll have another look at the late spring bank holiday weekend this evening around 7 o'clock, so come back for that. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.